Saul's armor and David's faith. Recently, I did a study with a friend of mine on the story of David and Goliath in 1 Samuel 17. The story of David and Goliath is one of the most famous stories in all of Scripture. How through faith the young shepherd boy was able to take down the mighty giant which is a sling and a stone. And when reading through the story again, some intriguing things came to mind, and I would like to share my thoughts. The verses that got the wheels in my head turning were 1 Samuel 17, verses 38 through 40, which reads, And Saul armed David with his armor, and he put a helmet of brass upon his head. Also he armed him with a coat of mail. And David girded his sword upon his armor, as he essayed to go, for he had not proved it. And David said unto Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not proved them. And David put them off him. And he took his staff in his hand, and chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook, and put them in a shepherd's bag which he had, even in a scrip which his sling was in his hand. And he drew near to the Philistine. When reading through this, I was reminded of a verse in one of the Psalms of David, Psalm 20, verse 7, which reads, Some trust in chariots, and some in horses, but we trust in the name of Yahweh our Elohim. This verse perfectly captures the difference between Saul and David in this part of Scripture. On the surface level, it seems logical that Saul would give David armor, simply for practicality reasons. David is going out to face a giant warrior, so it makes sense to give David something to protect himself. However, I think this also shows what Saul is putting his faith and trust in. Before sending David into battle, Saul had been told of how Yahweh was with David when he was first brought to Saul to play music for him. And he also heard from David that Yahweh protected him from a lion and a bear when he was watching over his father's sheep. However, at this point, the spirit of Yahweh has left Saul and has been replaced with an evil spirit as a result of his disobedience. So, it is quite possible that Saul doesn't have faith that Yahweh would help his army or David prevail against Goliath. So Saul is putting his trust in physical means like strong armor and powerful weapons in hopes of winning the battle. David, on the other hand, has complete faith in Yahweh. He's not afraid to go into a battle without any armor. He doesn't take a powerful weapon like a sword. And note how Scripture describes the 5 stones that David took into battle in verse 40. Verse 40 reads, And he took his staff in his hand, and chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook, and he put them in a shepherd's bag which he had. 5 smooth stones. David didn't even take rough stones that could have caused extra damage. Physical strength is not at all what David is relying on in this. He knows that as long as Yahweh is with him, everything would be all right.